Yeah, I mean, he was higher learning.
And he played Ice Cube in Higher Learning.
He plays Ice Cube in everything.
Everything.
I mean, I'm not doubting that.
You
I'm not questioning that.
There's no way you can sell. There's no way you can sell me on Ice Cube the Surgeon. Nurse, we gotta do a scalpel. Turn the gas up to CC74. No, you're gonna get that.
It started with a smirk and a mic. Aries Spears, sitting across from Vlad, decided to take his shot straight at Ice Cube's legacy. What should have been just another forgettable interview turned into a viral firestorm when Spears long passed. His Mad TV Prime and quietly bitter used the moment to drag Ice Cube's career like it was a bad punchline. No depth, no range. He scoffed, picking apart Cube's flow, acting skills, and with unsettling enthusiasm, mocking his cadence. From it was a good day like a man determined to provoke a reaction. Well, he got one.
Him going, is there a problem here? He's going, is there a problem here? It's just a different tone, but it's the same thing.
The fallout was quick, brutal, and very public. Ice Cube not one for emotional outbursts, but never the type to let a slight slide fired back with icy precision. Oh, he's a comedian, 'cause he's never made me laugh, Cube said in an interview, slicing Spears' credibility with surgical coldness. He didn't even need profanity, just pure disdain, tossing Spears' name into the cultural shredder without raising his voice. Cube didn't have to yell. His calm was the real flex. Spears might have been throwing wild swings, but Cube walked away looking like the grown-up in the room. If the grown-up happened to be holding a platinum record in one hand and a baseball bat in the other.
You know, Willie D called me.
Okay.
I was in Louisville, Kentucky. This nigga, and I love Willie D, that's my man, but this nigga called me like I disrespected his mama. He was like, Aries, man, you don't understand what Ice Cube done did for the culture, man, and hip-hop. Why you say? And I go, Willie, it's a subjective opinion.
Of course, Spears didn't take it quietly. Within days, he fired back with an unhinged Instagram rant, waxing philosophical about the meaning of hate and trying to spin the backlash as an attack on free speech. Am I not allowed to have an opinion? He pleaded. His tone caught somewhere between self-proclaimed martyr and a man sliding off the deep end. He claimed he respected Cube, the man, but not Cube the artist, as if that hair splitting would stop the bleeding. Instead, it only shined a brighter light on the cracks forming in Spears' public image, professional reputation, and even his personal stability.
Hollywood specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say it. That's the difference between New York City and California.
Enter 50 Cent, the hip-hop troll turned media mogul who spotted a brewing fight and couldn't resist jumping in with both feet. 50 didn't mince words or waste time. He went scorched earth on Spears, clowning him on Instagram and throwing his full support behind Cube. This wasn't just shade, it was a declaration of war. And in true 50 style, he didn't stop at jokes. Rumors began swirling from New York to LA talent circles that 50 and Cube were quietly working behind the scenes to freeze Spears out of upcoming opportunities, especially in the streaming space. One former agent even claimed, his name's a red flag now. Mention him in a pitch, and the room goes silent. Whether fact or just industry myth, the whispers alone were enough to make producers think twice.
Oh, you don't like anything Ice Cube's done?
Nothing. Ice Cube does nothing for me as a rapper and an actor.
Okay.
Nothing.
But Spears wasn't just up against two industry heavyweights. The crowd was piling on. Two fans lit up his social media like a Christmas tree in a house fire, calling him bitter, washed up, and desperate for attention. One viral tweet read, "Imagine fading so hard you have to diss Ice Cube just to trend." The court of public opinion wasn't just dismissive, it was ruthless. And when the public turns, it doesn't take long for former allies to vanish and sponsors to back away. Rumors are already swirling that a Vegas venue quietly pulled a pending deal with Spears after the backlash caught fire.
You don't think that Ice Cube was great in Friday? I will give you that he's playing himself.
He was great in Friday, but tell me how different Friday is from Boys in the Hood. Only difference is that they don't have a gun.
Well, Boys in the Hood was a dramatic one.
Either way, he's playing a street. He's playing a street from Los Angeles. That's not a stretch.
And here's where things get messy, because according to a former Mad TV staffer, this grudge didn't just appear out of nowhere. Back in the early 2000s, Spears reportedly pitched a sketch to Ice Cube's production company, something edgy, surreal, and supposedly ahead of its time. It was rejected outright. No callback, no follow-up. And ever since, the same source claims, Spears has carried a quiet grudge, one that's been simmering for 2 decades under a layer of jokes and subtle jabs. This wasn't just an opinion about an artist, it was personal. A slow-cooked resentment that finally spilled over on camera. Now Spears is trying to spin the backlash as proof that he's just too real for Hollywood. But the receipts tell a different story. His peers aren't rallying to defend him, they're staying silent. And that silence is deafening. Meanwhile, Ice Cube is busy pushing forward with Last Friday, bringing back Day-Day, honoring late castmates and brushing off the noise like lint off a leather jacket. And 50, he's doubling down on his empire, teasing new projects, and reminding everyone, at every turn, that he still holds power in every sense of the word.
We once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
The optics are brutal. Cube, the cultural titan, cool as ice. 50, the industry pitbull, all bark and bite. And Spears flailing on social media, scrambling to defend an opinion nobody asked for while fending off a backlash he clearly didn't see coming. The real question now isn't whether Spears was right, it's whether anyone even cares. In today's world, visibility is currency, and Spears may have just spent the last of his goodwill, and it's not like he was thriving before this. Looming over it all is the elephant in the room, the deeply disturbing lawsuit that tied his name and Tiffany Haddish's two grotesque allegations involving minors, and an alleged comedy sketch no one's laughing about. The case may have been dismissed, but the stain hasn't faded. A source close to a streaming executive says Spears' name still sets off concern meetings, the kind where publicists start rehearsing their damage control statements just in case. One former PR manager even called him radioactive. Not exactly the label you want when you're picking a fight with two of the most calculated power players in modern black entertainment.
Not a documentary. I think a lot of people thought that he was just joking around. It turns out he's not. So this is actually a real project that's being made under his G Unit.
And as the rumor mill keeps spinning, some say this whole attack on Cube wasn't just about old grudges or bruised egos, it was a last-ditch Hail Mary to stay relevant. A gamble that by poking the bear, Spears might go viral enough to land a new gig or at least a stand-up slot on a late-night tour. If that was the plan, it's blown up in his face. Instead of gaining buzz, he's lost credibility. Cube and 50 don't need to shout, they've got clout. And clout, unlike fame, doesn't fade when the spotlight does. Even Spears' attempt to explain himself on Instagram reeked of desperation. He kept repeating the same line, "I'm allowed to not like Ice Cube." Sure, Aries, you are. And we're all allowed to notice when someone's trying way too hard to get noticed. Once 50 Cent stepped into the ring, it stopped being a one-on-one spat and became a full-blown spectacle. With his massive reach, this wasn't just a celebrity feud anymore, it was content. The kind 50 knows how to weaponize better than anyone in entertainment. His social media feed turned into a battlefield. He didn't just co-sign Cube's comeback, he amplified, repackaged, and blasted it to millions with the precision of a seasoned troll-turned-master strategist. Spears wasn't arguing with one man anymore. He was now the punchline in a meme war, run by someone who's built a career out of making enemies suffer in public.
Although interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic evidence, but still.
Let's not forget, this is the same man who dismantled Ja Rule's career with a mix of brutal diss tracks, relentless mockery, and the pettiest stunt of all, buying out the front rows of Ya's concert just to leave them empty. The same 50 Cent who still pokes at old rivals more than a decade after the original beef has cooled. So when he set his sights on Spears, it didn't feel like just defending Cube, it felt calculated. 50 saw an easy target, a weakened figure with a messy past and no real backup. One studio exec, speaking anonymously, put it bluntly, if 50 decides you're the problem, you don't just get clowned, you get erased. And now, industry insiders are whispering about something deeper, something more coordinated. Hollywood runs on relationships, and those who step outside the accepted narrative often find their phones stop ringing. Could 50 and Cube's combined influence be enough to quietly push Spears out of the picture? Some sources say yes. According to one former talent booker, there's already a soft freeze happening behind the scenes. Certain venues aren't returning Aries calls, a rumored late-night panel spot. Gone. An indie film deal supposedly in talks just weeks ago. Pulled for budget reasons. Or so the official line goes. But the timing is a little too convenient.
There's different things that's not really beef though. That's just competitive.
Competitiveness.
All right, so you and Diddy and you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock.
Okay, damn, all right.
And here's where it gets colder, because this isn't just about Cube's dignity or 50's vendetta. It's about the industry machine that chews up the inconvenient and protects the bankable. Spears, whether through bad choices or sheer misfortune, has ended up on the wrong side of both. His brand was already fragile before this latest blow-up, and now it's losing credibility faster than his old Mad TV clips can rack up views. In a media world built on likability and longevity, a man with neither is an easy target. And right now, Spears looks like open season. But this didn't start with Cube. Spears has been fighting gravity for years. His reputation as a loose cannon has followed him for decades, from his jaw-dropping confessions during the Mad TV reunion, where he openly admitted to cheating on his partner and failing his sons, to the heavy cloud of controversy over that now infamous sketch with Tiffany Haddish. He's been swimming against the current with cinder blocks strapped to his ankles. And even though the lawsuit tied to that sketch was ultimately dismissed, the stain remains. People remember headlines, not retractions. For someone already seen as difficult to work with, the quiet industry whispers eventually become a deafening roar.
This guy,
50's not to be
no. Tone
50's not to be
with Fifth. Y'all don't even. Fifth
play
is
around if you
different.
want to.
Fifth is different.
And he's on.
Multiple outlets covered the disturbing nature of those allegations, with detailed accounts that still circulate in forums and comment threads today. One manager, speaking on condition of anonymity, said flatly, "Spears is not the kind of client a network wants to bet on anymore." They weren't talking about legal verdicts, they were talking about optics, audience trust, and the harsh reality that Hollywood has no use for you if you're not bankable, likable, or at least meme. In a way that sells ad space, Spears has publicly brushed off the hate, insisting he's simply telling the truth and being punished for his honesty. But dig deeper, and it looks less like fearless critique and more like self-sabotage. His bitterness toward Cube's success doesn't just seem professional, it feels personal. One insider claims Spears once pushed hard to land a role in a reboot tied to the Friday franchise, only to be rejected without even a callback. Whether that rejection planted the seed for his recent comments or not, it certainly adds a bitter edge to his criticisms. And now, with Cube preparing for last Friday alongside the original cast and new studio backing, the timing of Spears' outburst doesn't exactly scream coincidence.
And telling people who the sponsors are. So if they want to harass Cadillac and AT&T, that'll happen.
Meanwhile, 50 has doubled down. Every jab at Spears feels more calculated than the last, mocking his relevance, reposting memes that paint him as washed up, and fanning rumors that Cube and others are quietly closing doors behind the scenes. And when you look at how 50 has turned past feuds into long-running empires, whether against stars, executives, actors, or rival moguls, it's not hard to imagine him playing the same game here. We're watching a one-man demolition crew with a global audience and nothing but time, and maybe that's the most unsettling part, how quickly someone can go from controversial voice to unhirable liability when a few powerful players decide it's time. It raises the question, is Spears being punished for having an opinion or for having the wrong enemies? In Hollywood, people aren't just canceled, they're forgotten. And when that silence finally sets in, it's louder than any cloud.
Go back to that 50 Cent post. I'm gonna tell you why 50 is literally a diabolical genius.
Still, Aries Spears hasn't backed down, at least not yet. But if he has a master plan, it's buried under scattered social media posts and vague justifications. No new projects, no major allies, just a man standing in the wreckage of his own commentary, hoping the smoke will get him noticed. The question now isn't whether he'll respond, it's whether anyone will still be watching when he does. Because if this feud drags on and 50 keeps tightening the screws, Spears could find himself not just blacklisted, but invisible. And it's hard to ignore the trail Spears has left behind an erratic pattern of public outbursts, emotional meltdowns, and confessions that, when pieced together, paint a picture of a man unraveling in real time. In a now viral appearance on the Tiger Belly podcast, Spears laid his private chaos bare in front of former castmates and millions of viewers. Between the jokes and nostalgic stories, he admitted to being unfaithful, failing as a father, and chasing external validation to fill something empty inside. It was raw, uncomfortable, and brutally honest, but it also felt like a cry for help disguised as a stand-up routine.
It's not gonna be able to go, okay, that is funny, but there's something else. Do you see all the angles? Do you know comedically? Do you see where you could go, it'd be funnier if I did this, changed this, said this, the timing. Now, I guarantee you, I will get called a hater in all these in comments, because idiots can't separate fact from hatred.
What stuck with audiences wasn't the funny banter, it was the painful self-awareness woven between Spears' words. He openly compared himself to more successful peers, admitted his obsession with material success, and confessed that he still craved the very things he claimed to resent. It wasn't just a confession, it was psychological self-dissection, the kind we rarely see from public figures trained to project strength and control. But instead of humanizing him, that raw vulnerability may have actually made him a bigger target. In Hollywood, vulnerability isn't always seen as a virtue, it can be an open invitation. Through that lens, this feud with Ice Cube and 50 Cent starts to look less like a calculated attack and more like Spears isn't just fighting them, he's fighting himself. Picking battles with cultural titans might not be strategic sabotage, so much as an emotional reflex, a way to feel relevant by creating conflict. These aren't the moves of a man with a plan, they're the lashing out of someone trying to matter, even if the attention comes at a cost, especially if pain is the only currency he has left.
The Police, you don't think that's a classic song?
It's classic because of what it represents in terms of black struggle symbolism and what black people have gone through with the police historically. It's the song that makes you go, yeah! Yeah, I get how it can touch your emotions, but it don't do nothing for me.
Straight out of Compton, gangster.
And that's where the story shifts from spectacle to tragedy. Because beneath the headlines, there's a man wrestling with questions far bigger than celebrity drama. What does it mean to fall from grace in public? To be remembered not for your art, but for your collapse. Spears' repeated confessions don't just show a lack of filter, they reveal a lack of armor. He's bleeding into the microphone over and over, and it's starting to look less like catharsis and more like so when we see him lash out at Cube or defend himself online, maybe it's not just petty beef. Maybe it's the outward sign of a deeper spiral. The headlines call it a feud, but the body language says something else. Desperation, exhaustion, maybe even resignation. And that raises an unsettling question. Are we watching a celebrity controversy, or are we watching someone quietly lose a battle with himself while the cameras roll? Which brings us to the real cliffhanger. Is Aries Spears about to drop a nuclear response that flips the script? Or is this the slow, messy final act of a career that refused to play by the rules? Could he bounce back, or is he already too far gone in the eyes of an industry that thrives on silence and erases its troublemakers with chilling precision? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this saga is far from over, and the next move might be the most dangerous one yet. Until then, keep your eyes open and your tea hot. Hollywood never forgets, but it sure loves a fall.